So welcome to this career development information session hosted by Memorial University and the Internationalization Office. We're really excited to welcome you to campus and help you adjust to what life was going to be like over here, especially in the depths of winter. So I would like to start the session off with a land acknowledgement, if that hasn't already taken place. So we acknowledge that Memorial University's campuses are situated in the traditional territories of diverse Indigenous groups, including the island of Nuk'tahumkuk, the ancestral homelands of the Beothuk and Mi'kmaq peoples. We acknowledge with respect the diverse histories and cultures of the Beothuk, Mi'kmaq, Innu, and Inuit of this province. So for anyone who's not familiar, there is quite a bit of colonial and Indigenous history here, not just in the province, but within the whole of Canada as well. So when you arrive here, you will probably be hearing a lot of land acknowledgements to just pay respect to the fact that before Newfoundland and Canada became part of, I guess, Canada, what is commonly known now as Canada, there were very many Indigenous communities and nations that inhabited these lands. So these are some of the ways to say thank you in various Indigenous languages spoken across the province. So we have Lalio, Chinashkmitnan in Innu, and Nakurmik in Inuktitut. So the goals of this session, just to give you a brief overview of the career planning process, what our approach is to that here at the university, the career services that we offer at the university as well, a few career programs and events to be aware of, and then a quick overview of labor standards in Newfoundland as well. So just to go over what we mean by career planning, a career plan is a process that requires extensive self-reflection and occupational research. At career development, we use an interests and strengths-based approach to career advising. This means that we're really encouraging each and every student to kind of look inwards first to confirm or explore what your values and interests and strengths and competencies are before trying to make a plan, because without knowing yourself, we find that people sometimes end up getting lost, and that's where they kind of circle and sometimes end up seeking advising services with us, which is totally okay as well. But just to encourage you to look inwards first, really know who you are, because that's really important in trying to establish a meaningful career path during and after graduation. To be very clear, we don't provide job matching services. That's usually a service that's provided by external organizations. We can kind of refer you to them once you arrive if you're curious about those. But here at Career Advising, what we normally do is we help you learn about the tools and resources that can help you plan and execute your next steps. So really, we're trying to take a strategic approach to career development and employment. An analogy that we like to use often is that we are trying to teach people to fish rather than just give you the fish, because in the grand scheme of things, knowing how to fish, right, how to go about that will be much more useful to you. So the career planning process, as I said, learning about yourself constantly is really important. You will find over time, as well as you spend time here, as you go through your degree, maybe you're going to learn new things about yourself, and that's going to change your outlook. So being open to change as well is a big thing. And then exploring career options, depending on how your values or priorities change over time, you might realize, oh, I actually want to, look into this career path. It's really important as well to think about how technology and digital transformation is changing the labor market and how that can affect career paths. So exploring career options, especially ones that don't necessarily exist yet, is something to consider. Then reflecting and assessing and reassessing is also important. So as you're gaining and learning these experiences, how does that inform your possibilities going forward? And then making a plan and implementing, that's kind of towards the end. And then it just cycles over and over and over again. So it's a process, it's ongoing, it never ends, right? In the same way that your life is ongoing, we just really want you to kind of keep a very large, I guess, view on how careers work. It's not linear anymore these days. It's not often that someone studies something and then stays along that path within that industry for the rest of their lives. Most people these days do actually switch careers quite often. I can say the same for myself, or you might even have multiple careers, right? So I actually did a music degree as my first degree. I've also lived all over different parts of the country. So I mostly grew up in BC, but with immigrant parents. So that obviously colors kind of the way you grow up, the culture that you grew up with, those cultural values, and how you work with them. But then I also spent a lot of time in Eastern Canada, and now I'm here in Newfoundland. So yeah, lots of diverse perspectives, and trying to learn from every experience you have is really important. And now here I am as a career advisor, but also a musician on the side as well. So yes, I can't emphasize that enough. Just make sure that every experience you pick up along the way is useful and can inform you. So, sometimes people end up in, part-time jobs that they don't necessarily find strictly relevant to their degrees, but they will find a way to, make that experience valuable in the sense that, oh, I've learned that I enjoy customer service, or maybe I've learned that I don't enjoy working in a super fast-paced environment. There's all of these things that you can pick up and learn, even if it doesn't seem specific to your degree right away. So career services at MUN, we do offer a range of things at the university. Oops, sorry. I must be clicking on something that's prompting another window to open. Okay, there we are. So MUN has a team of staff dedicated to providing resources and promoting the career development of our students. We do offer one-on-one appointments. So this you can book through our online system, MS Bookings or Microsoft Bookings. There will be a link to that sent out, and it's also available on our website. But basically we have, one-on-one appointment types for resumes, cover letters, interviews, although we're trying to move to our AI platform for that. So we do have an AI mock interview platform. I can kind of show you how to find that later. LinkedIn profiles and networking, career exploration as well. If you're starting to have doubts or you're not sure, what career pathways might be open to you based on what you're interested in, and then just the general job search as well. And then on top of that, there's several locations where you can access these services. So career development, this is located at University Center, which is kind of a hub for a lot of student activity. We're located on the 4th floor there, and we service basically all students. So it doesn't matter if you are, studying STEM or arts or whatever, you're welcome to walk in and use our services or access them. Now, if you're a graduate student, and I'm sure quite a number of you are here, but graduate students are able to also access career services. There is someone named Shin Wang, who is their senior career development coordinator. So sometimes when we're at capacity, we do refer out to graduate studies, but you can also just start there for career advising service as well. If you are a business student, you will have access to Embark. So Embark is their career success center specific to those who are studying within the Faculty of Business. So they have their own dedicated services. So definitely I encourage you to consult with Embark if you're a business student. And yeah, those are the 3 main touch points for career services at the university. So there are some other campus resources as well. You can consult your own faculties, as usually it's the faculties that are most in touch with industries that are relevant to, their field of study there. There's also tons of student groups available. So student groups are a great way to network. A lot of students who are already here do have jobs and can maybe put you in touch with jobs as well. So student groups are a great way to network and also gain experience if you end up volunteering with them. The EDGE program. This is the enhanced, I think it's like development or something of the graduate experience. Sorry, I don't quite remember the acronym, but this is for grad students, and it provides comprehensive skills development training. So that's like in a workshop series, and you can kind of just drop in and attend whatever you like. Some of them are very, grad studies oriented. They might be talking about thesis writing and that kind of thing, but some of them are also more applicable to the general job search. We also have the Center for Entrepreneurship and the Center for Social Enterprise, and also TALMUN, which is the Teaching Assistants Union of Memorial University. So that last one is just for graduate students, but the first 2 are open to anybody who's interested either in starting a business or maybe, just like wanting to I guess, develop some skills in business operations. So that's the Center for Entrepreneurship, and then the Center for Social Enterprise as well is open to any undergrads or graduates who are interested in engaging with businesses with a more like social focus. So both, or I should say all of these websites sometimes have opportunities and programs to lend to your professional development. And then finally, there are specific postings for Memorial, like jobs at Memorial. So the focus on this is usually on full-time positions, but on occasion, part-time positions are occasionally posted. So just a note about this, we do have, news about a hiring freeze coming. That's not to say that jobs are not going to be posted here. It just might not be as frequent as it has been in, recent months. But still worth checking out. There are things posted. Other ways to gain experience and connections, highly recommend students join the Student Volunteer Bureau. So this is a platform to promote volunteer opportunities, to support students in their self-development, and to create a community of MUN volunteers. They have a frequent mailing list that goes out every week with up-to-date opportunities to volunteer. Volunteering is a great way to kind of transition into a job. Oftentimes when organizations engage with volunteers, once you get to know that organization over a period of time, if they end up having any job postings, oftentimes they will refer to, their volunteer base first to fill those openings. So sometimes volunteering can really give you that, I guess, foot in the door. But otherwise, what does also lend well to skills development. And then over here at the IO, we also have a variety of programs for international students. So we have activity on Tuesdays, discussion group on Wednesdays, and coffee club on Fridays when the semester is in session. And again, this is just another way for people to network with one another. Oftentimes students refer other students to work opportunities. And it's just a great way to learn, right, how people are kind of going about their lives and, their career development as they're studying at university. So there's some resources for you there on campus. Okay, there are also some community resources. So within the St. John's metro region, there are several community organizations that do offer support to students and their families. So if you're coming with family and they're also looking for work, you can be referred to these centers as well. So the YMCA, for example, has a newcomer services office where they offer employment programs. The Amal Youth and Family Center is another great one for newcomers. They have an intake form and you can also book an appointment with them to, discuss career opportunities in the area. The Association for New Canadians also has some employment services as well as Stella Circle and Waypoint. So there's all these different points of access. If you are a student and you're looking for career advising, typically you can just go to MUN for that. But if you have a spouse or a partner or some other family member that might be looking for work and they're not a MUN student, then you can refer them to these other centers. Just a note though, we do offer career advising for spouses at MUN of current students, just in case that might be something you'd be interested in. For those who are, looking to work in the tech space or software industry, the Tech NL is kind of what connects everybody together. So you can sign up for the newsletter. If you click on this link and go to the bottom of the page, they have that there. And there's also a local Slack group that meets up regularly. So those are some kind of more community-oriented resources you can tap into for job leads and networking. And when we say networking here in Canada, that really means just kind of mingling with other people and getting to know them, not necessarily to get a job immediately or anything like that, but literally just to meet other people who are interested in the same things as you are. We do find that people with those loose connections are often able to come across more job opportunities. So yeah, networking is, I know in some countries has some other meanings, but here it's really for the purposes of building a professional community of people that you can ask questions. There are some other places to look for jobs off campus. So online, these are the I guess websites that we usually refer students to. So Indeed is a popular one. LinkedIn, these are more for, more professional oriented jobs. I do recommend any student incoming who doesn't yet have a LinkedIn account that's active or up to date to do so as soon as possible. If you want to start building that digital presence as early as you can, so that when you're on your way out to the workforce, on your way to graduation, that you already have that presence established and people can already find you. Yeah, can't emphasize the importance of LinkedIn enough. If you're kind of curious about that space, you can follow career development on LinkedIn. We have a very active page. We're doing our best to share job postings, share professional development opportunities, workshops, events, so on and so forth through that channel. So do encourage that as well. There's also a local job seekers NL group on Facebook. Anything on Facebook, you kind of have to be very careful about because like nothing is verified, right? So you have to make sure that if you are clicking on links in that Facebook group that you kind of look at the poster, see if it seems legitimate, like does that person have friends? How long have they been on Facebook? This is information that you can typically look up on Facebook through clicking on the poster's profile photo, but just to be aware that on websites like Facebook, even Indeed and LinkedIn, or JobBank, which is a database maintained by the Government of Canada, they don't necessarily have embedded security checks. So you have to make sure that you're not going to be scammed or anything like that. Unfortunately, job scams are a thing in Canada as well and locally. So just make sure that if you apply for anything and you feel that you're being asked for information right off the bat that doesn't seem necessary, if you have any doubts, just send an email to internationalization@mun.ca. Typically, we get back to people pretty quickly about whether or not we think a job lead is legitimate. So yeah, just be very wary about that. Even with your own emails, there's a lot of phishing scams that are coming out, phishing with a PH. So basically, emails sent out to collect your personal information and yeah, do illegal things with it. So just be careful about that and make sure you don't distribute your SIN anywhere unless to, a very official Government of Canada in person or whatever. You need to make sure that you're verifying the other person's identity all the time when it comes to, critical information like your SIN. In person, people do find success applying for jobs. So there are a few places that, if you're just looking for something casual, the Avalon Mall, the Village Mall, and downtown St. John's are places that people often take their resumes in person to drop off. This can work really well for service-oriented jobs because people are more likely to, respond positively to you if they see you in person, if they can interact with you in person. That's an easy way for them to measure whether or not your soft skills or your communication skills are adequate for those kinds of jobs. So people also do have luck just kind of taking their resumes in person. Oh goodness, it clicked out. Let me just click down, see if that works. Okay, there we are. So there are also career programs available through the university. So we host a number of things to help students develop their careers and student success competencies. So this is really the backbone of what we're hoping students will develop through the programs that we run. If you're not really confident on how to talk about your skills or your competencies, I really encourage you to take a look at this document and just kind of, become familiar with some of the things that employers are asking for. This list has been developed through consultation with various sources. It's kind of an amalgamation of what people have been saying about skills and the workforce and what job seekers need to succeed in the labor market. So keeping that in mind, we have a bunch of stuff available to students to build on those competencies. So we have some on-campus part-time employment opportunities. Depending on whether you're at the undergraduate or graduate level, the availability of these programs will depend on that. So obviously, if you're an undergraduate student, just make sure you're clicking to the right places so you're accessing the right information. But in a nutshell, the undergrad program, often referred to as MUSEP, and the ISWEP are available to both international undergraduate students. So you can tap into either of these programs if you're international and undergraduate. If you are at the graduate level, you'd be looking at grad SWEP jobs, standing for Grad Student Work Experience Program. And then if you're a student parent, you can also tap into the Student Work and Service Program. This one is a little bit more detailed when it comes to the requirements. So yeah, just to let you know, it's really worth kind of reading through these pages to understand how each of these programs work. They're all part-time to help students kind of balance their academic responsibilities with, employment. But yeah, it's a very systematic way of, I guess, offering employment on campus. Now, the thing to be really careful about with these is that they're always only available during a certain time of the year. The openings are always within like the first week of classes for that semester. So this page hasn't been updated yet for the winter, but in the winter semester, when the applications open, I believe it's going to be a Friday to a Friday. So it's either the 3rd to the 10th or the 10th to the 17th. My guess is going to be 10th to the 17th of January is when the application period is open. So you only have a week to apply for those positions. And what we recommend for students is that they tailor each of their applications as much as they can to the jobs they're applying for. So, and this is relevant for any kind of job. We do find that students often apply for all jobs with the same resume without, kind of considering the specific position they're applying for. So employers are very, very, I guess, wary of that. They prefer to see tailored applications. They want to see an applicant that speaks to, the vacancy that they're trying to fill, right? So if you're applying for a customer service oriented position, you don't need to talk about the data science work that you have under your experience. That's not going to be relevant to them. They want to see things related to customer service. So that's just an example, but be very I guess, careful to make sure that your application responds to the position in question, and the same will apply to any of these on-campus work opportunities. We also have something called the Professional Skills Development Program. So this is something that I run through the Office of Career Development and also the IO. This is a bit more in-depth. It is 6 in-person 90-minute workshops throughout the semester. They're going to be running on Thursday, starting January 16th of next year. And it's kind of like an in-depth, I shouldn't say in-depth because honestly, you could talk about this stuff forever, but it's a more in-depth collection of activities and, I guess content about all of these things plus more. So if you're interested in this, registration is now open. You can just sign into My Mon Life and it should kind of prompt you to plug in your details to register for that. It is a bigger commitment. I expect students, they usually take around 30 hours in the semester to complete the program. But if it's something you want to look into, that's available for you as well. And then there are stuff, again, if I refer back to other units on campus, the entrepreneurship training program, for example, would be something that might be interesting to you. So yeah, I think I'm just trying to see where their program schedule is. Okay, I think they probably need to update their website soon, but you can see that, they have a lot of workshops throughout the semester for people trying to build a business and that kind of thing. So yeah, if you have questions about that, I think you can just contact Dr. Hondo, who runs that. So that's there as well. Okay, career events. So on top of those kind of ongoing programs, we also have events throughout the year. So Career Week would be the next major event that we would be preparing for. So that happens in the first week of March. Oh, sorry, there's a teeny tiny typo here. The Career and Graduate School Fair, this happens in September of every year in the last week. So that's a huge one. We have usually over 100 exhibitors attending that one. And when you come in well prepared, it can actually lead to job opportunities down the line. We will also have well, it's not a small career fair. I would say about 30 employers come to the career fair we usually host during Career Week as well. So that's something to look to. Career Month is in November, so if you're here in November, there's just a whole suite of activities for that month. And then, yeah, for any other workshops and networking events, you can again follow Career Development on LinkedIn or check out the events calendar on MyMon Life and or the Student Life calendar. So we have stuff on, for example, strengths. There's something called Gallup Clifton Strengths. That's training that we provide here for free. We also have something called the Strong Interest Inventory and Design Your Life. So we're trying to apply design thinking to how you can design your own career journey. So there are programs like that. A lot of these do kind of result in certificates, including the PSDP. But really the learning is what we're emphasizing, right? How can you apply this knowledge to your own career journey? That's what we're hoping for. Okay, just a really brief overview of labor standards. So every province has different rules and regulations. So depending on where you end up, obviously you're going to be landing here in Newfoundland and Labrador, but you might, explore work elsewhere. Every province has different rules and regulations, so it's really important that depending on where you're working, you look into those provincial standards so that you know your rights and that you don't get exploited, because unfortunately that does happen here. So we do have an overview of Newfoundland regulations here. This is a really strong document, talks about what are your hours of work, what constitutes overtime, how many breaks do you need to be given and how long, so on and so forth. Has information about wages, vacation pay, tips and gratuities, stuff like that. So it's really like a great document to look over, as you might not be familiar with some of the rules for employment here. And these labor standards are the base labor standards, the baseline. So basically, no employer can offer you anything less, because this applies to the entire province, every workplace, anyone that has an employee. This is what applies as a baseline. So really recommend that you kind of run through this document if you are looking for work, because it's really important for you to know what your rights are. There is also an email address here listed in case you have any questions or need help interpreting the Labor Standards Act. And there is also the Legal Information Clinic of Newfoundland and Labrador that has some touch points for newcomers such as yourselves when it comes to legal implications. So there's this website here, the Plion. You can also call their legal information line if you have a basic question. They might be able to answer you right off the spot. But if not, they'll probably refer you for an appointment. So this website's really nice. It talks about different categories of newcomers here, and it also has some legal information in different languages if you would be more comfortable reading that in any of the languages listed here. Hopefully they have what you need, but yeah, if not, you can try and call them for any answers to specific questions. So I ran through that really quickly, so if anyone wants me to go back to go over any resources, I can definitely do that, but I wanted to leave plenty of room for questions, so I'll just stop the presentation for now and let her